$60 a year debit card fee. Joining me now, one of these congressmen, Democrat Peter Welch of Vermont. Thanks for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. Tell me why you think these banks, which are ostensibly huge competitors, are getting together somewhere and deciding to raise fees in unison.
Well, I don't have an opinion, but I have a suspicion. And there's two reasons. One, historical. Bank of America has a history of anti-competitive practices. And in fact, in 2003, they settled an antitrust lawsuit and paid $3.5 billion. So that's one. Number two, before the ink was dry on the Durbin swipe fee amendment, Bank of America and some of the big bank associations were all speaking the same words about raising debit card fees. And the question that's raised under antitrust law is whether that's price signaling. And the question we have is to the Attorney General to be the cop on the beat and investigate.
Well, also, Congressman, let me interrupt you here because I want to read some of those statements so people can hear them. One comes from the Texas Bankers Association, right, which says, now the industry must regroup and each and every one of you must decide how you're going to pay for the use of debit cards. And then from Jerry Walker, Independent Community Bankers Association president, he says, free checking is going to be gone. You can kiss that away. If you want a debit card, there are going to be extra fees. Now, my question to you, Congressman, having seen those comments, it seems to me like these banks are just crying over spilt milk. They know that the Durbin Amendment is going to cost them a lot of money, and they're angry, and they're complaining about it. But you see some kind of secret pact here. Why?
Well, it's not so much secret pact. The big banks, the top four banks, have $7.7 trillion of assets. So they have an enormous amount of market power. A lot of their depositors probably have a monthly balance of $2,000. They have no ability to negotiate. And the real question here under antitrust law is whether or not the price that is being charged is a result of market power that's excessive, or something, and therefore something way beyond what a competitive marketplace would allow. I have no reservation about the banks making fair charges, but I do have a real objection to market power that's excessive in violation of competitive practices.
You can look to Congress for that because it's, you know, the banks have been combining for years. And,
well, you're right.
You know, the number of money center banks has slowly declined and winnowed. And when you talk to the banking industry itself, they say Dodd-Frank is only making it worse.
Well, there's two issues here, okay? One is that you're right about the consolidation. In 1980, we had 37 banks that are now 4. Second, on Dodd-Frank, what you really have is the question of the banking model. The community banks are in service of the productive economy. A lot of the big banks, those money center banks, use their depositors and their consumers as a money platform to do their trading operations. So a major question here is what kind of banking system do we want that's going to help the productive economy, create jobs, small businesses, entrepreneurs,
I think
homeowners?
That's an interesting question. I wonder if Eric Holder is the person to answer that. Answer this for me, though, because my understanding is that you supported the Durbin Amendment. Now let me tell you, you might not know, but the other day, a couple weeks ago, I cut up my Bank of America debit card on air.
I do know. I know, I didn't see it.
Well, because, you know, look, we paid for the bailout. I don't want to pay for the Durbin Amendment. And when I talk to lenders about why they're instituting these new fees, what they tell me is it's the Durbin Amendment. It's stealing, you know, billions of dollars out of our pocket. If it weren't in play, we would not be doing this. How do you respond?
Well, I'd have sympathy for them if the charges that they were imposing on our merchants and credit card users were anything close to fair. I mean, again, keep in mind, Bank of America was charging the highest fees until antitrust stopped them. And then number two, they kept continuing to charge, they and the other banks, the highest swipe fees in the world. And those swipe fees are coming out of merchants, they're coming out of consumers. They're anti-competitive. That's enormous.
You know, and I haven't seen a retailer yet who said, hey, Jerry, here's your swipe fee money back. I mean, the retailers are not lowering prices as a consequence.
Well, that was a big argument that the banks made. And here's the question. If you have 4 gas stations on a corner, do you think that one of those is going to be able to withstand a price reduction across the street? I mean, the law of competition does apply to your retailers. It doesn't apply to a $7.7 trillion conglomeration of the top 4 big banks. So
why not?
The marketplace, well, because they have incredible market power, and it's not like you have 4 banks on the corner like a gas station. So, but you know what? The issue here is this. Do we want to have our antitrust laws vigorously enforced and vigorously investigated?
All right.
Let's take a look and find out.
Okay. Quickly, I got to run. Have you heard from Holder? Has the Attorney General gotten back to you?
They've gotten back to us that they've received our communication and they're going to take it seriously, and we expect some follow-up in the near term.
Well, Congressman, I really appreciate your coming on tonight. Thank you so much. And when we do heat this thing up, I want you to come back and talk to me more about it. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Well, coming up, I think I just saw pigs fly by the studio.